Good morning, everyone. It's really a pleasure and an honor to be here, and thank you for the invitation. And also, before starting my presentation, a special thank to you guys as well, because you did really committed with us on the development of this strategy. So you're part of it as well. The Arctic platform, the Northern Sea and Arctic platform, came out from your contribution and from your very interesting insights and ideas. So I'll say that what we achieved here, not the Portuguese presidency per se, but the European Union, the Commission and the Council, is truly also thank you to you, because you did contribute to the overall success, or at least we hoped it will be a success in the next years. So with no further delay, just some ideas to take away and try to make an introduction for the overall deployment of this strategy. This all started because we have the clear sensation, and we are totally believers that the next 10 years will be crucial for the future of the digitalization of Europe. And for that reason, the communication that the Commission has just issued and sent it out, the Digital Decade, early this month, couldn't be more timely and accurate as well. And we are also happy to see that international connectivity, it's also in the heart of this communication. We are proud, of course, as presidency, that we contributed to this extent, but we are even more happier to see that at the end of the day, all 27 member states shared the same concerns, signed the declaration. Also, as you will see afterwards on the presentation, we had also Iceland and Norway joining this overall strategy, which shows that in fact this is something that everyone is very keen on and is essential for the future of Europe and the whole digitalization process. So now we can say that the European Union plus the two partners that I mentioned share a common goal, and this is not just an initiative that was started by the Portuguese presidency, but it's in fact something that Europe has now in its heart. What can we say more? I mean, and René, you made a brilliant introduction, especially underlining that either the US and China have their own strategies in terms of international connectivity, and Europe was squeezed between these two giants. What I can say now is that we no longer need to be squeezed, because now we have a strategy that we can implement, that can be implemented, sharing the visions of Europe. And that's the European Data Gateway Platform strategy that combines not only international connectivity, but also data, which is a very important topic, as you mentioned as well on your presentation. Just to give you an overall introduction, I would like to share with you the starting point of this journey, if I may use the expression. It all started in Portugal, when we came to the conclusion that there was an urgent need to replace the links between Portugal mainland and the islands that we have there, Madeira and Açores. We came to that conclusion because we noticed that the life expectancy of the cables were coming to an end, so they'll be ending on 24, 25, and so that created the first awareness that we need to do something. Not only those cables are old and coming into an end, but more important, they are not able to connect with the demands of data that we're going to have in the next years. So we had several discussions with different stakeholders in member states, and after a few months of intense discussions and shared visions, we came up to the conclusion and the recognition from everyone, that also from the Commission, that we had a need to establish an international connectivity strategy for the European Union. But then some questions came up. First of all, how could we bring the 27 member states together and sharing the same vision? Because I mean, at the end of the day, and you know this probably better than me, the decision process in Europe is somehow quite difficult. That's true, but I'm also a truly believer that at the end of the day, based on the methods and all the way that we take decisions in the European Union, in the core of the European Union, in the Council, the results are pretty much better than sometimes when we don't have discussions and the decisions are just take upon one vision or one single head. Then the second question was, how can we ensure a common strategy that allocate the proper financial resources with the different 27 member states' visions and interests? And the third question was, how can we better plan a global international strategy, ensuring that all member states can also relate to it? This is this was what we had in mind when we started to design the strategy, and this is what was in the heart of the European Data Gateway platforms. That after analyzing these three questions that I mentioned, we came up to the conclusion that this was the best way forward. Why? Because first of all, it brings together quite four different strategic regions of Europe, promoting and developing them at the same time that they contribute for a bigger goal and seeking a common European interest. Also because based on this idea of four different platforms, we can also better plan European connectivity between the member states, promoting more resilience, and redundancy within the European market. And finally, based on this approach, you can also build a connectivity strategy between Europe and the rest of the world to make us more autonomous, which is one of the goals of the overall strategy, and better connected to other digital markets, which, as Rene said before, is also a cornerstone for Europe to become a world leader of digital economy. I will now try to share my slides, which is pretty much. It says that I cannot share.
I'm sharing your slides. They are visible now.
Oh, okay. So this is the European Data Gateway platform strategy. So you can just go to the next slide, please. Thank you, Eric. So the starting point in terms of the discussions within the Council were taken from the European Council conclusions of the 2nd of October 2020, where there was a clear message from the Council saying that in order to achieve our digital sovereignty, within other important topics, we also need to develop our digital capacities and infrastructures. And so this was the first step when we started to design the strategy. Next slide, please. The other question that came up during the elaboration of the strategy was to understand if we were really prepared for the future as Europe. Because first of all, I mean, and these numbers that I present here were taken from different reports and different assessments that we have. But the question that most worried us was, are we really ready for the future? And by the future, I mean the volume of data that we're going to have, but also its value, and how can we actually tackle and be prepared for that? And the conclusion was that no one really knows what will be the future in terms of data. The only thing that you knew is that based on that initial idea that I mentioned when we noticed that by replacing the links between Portugal and the islands, we need to upgrade the systems, the submarine cable systems, because I mean, no one knows what really is going to be the volume of data. So in order to be prepared and to have a strategic international digital infrastructure, Europe must think big and must also be prepared to balance the investments between the four different platforms. Why? Because based on those different four platforms, for sure we can better prepare and make a clear definition from Europe to the rest of the world, which platform could be critical in a certain point, or other could be less critical in terms of investments on the second phase. Next slide, please. This is also already tackled by René, and this is actually a copy from your presentation, which I gladly took, and also proves the good cooperation and interactions that we had with you guys. And I mean, this image speaks for itself, because it's true. I mean, the sector and the submarine cable industry have changed in the last years. I mean, the the old investors, the telecom operators, the traditional telecom operators are no longer the key players in this industry, as Rene has mentioned as well. I mean, most of the investments now are made either by private companies like the OTTs, the GAFAs, or by major countries like China. And so what we can take away from this map is that, in fact, if we want to have autonomy, this is not the way forward. The second point that I would like to take out from this image is also the fact that we faced Brexit. And as you know, the UK is the biggest digital hub in terms of connectivity, but also in terms of data that we had in Europe. But the fact is that Brexit came, and the UK is no longer a member of the European Union. So when we think about our strategic autonomy, I mean, we must think that it relies, in fact, in a country that's no longer a member of the European Union. So this creates some emptiness in terms of the approach that we want to build, and that's the fact why we need to also to create that strategy. Next slide, please. So again, coming to the idea. So the idea was to build this European data gateways platform strategy based on the assessment that we did had regarding the needs of connectivity for Europe in the coming years. And to that extent, I mean, the best approach that we thought was to divide Europe in 4 different big platforms, because based on that, you can actually better prepare and better design a strategy towards the connections that we want to have to the other digital markets. I'll not take long in terms of the idea why it's better to have 4 different platforms than to have one single platform or act like just one block, because I think it goes without saying. And I think also from your side, you're going to tackle the approach to the North Sea and Arctic data gateway platform, and it will be clear for everyone that when we have 4 different platforms that also match 4 different very important geopolitical and geostrategic regions of Europe, it's obvious that it's better to combine the strategies and to understand where can we invest first, why do we invest there, and also take away in terms of security, in terms of resilience, to better enable Europe to have a strategy. I'll stop here. This is actually my last slide. I think there is another slide, but just to thank you for your attention. And once again, let me underline the important contributions that you guys made to the overall strategy. And I mean, at the end of the day, the key message that I wanted to leave is that this is only possible with the collaboration and cooperation between different stakeholders. And you guys are part of it, as well as other stakeholders and other member states. And I do really believe that with this approach now, we do have to move forward and take the next steps. Final word, and to conclude. But I think I'll have time as well afterwards to tackle this topic. The timeline after the signing of the declaration that was signed just a week ago during the Digital Day, where I said that it was signed by the 27 member states, also by Iceland and Norway. First of all, and in order to now implement this idea of the data gateway platform strategy, the first step will be the connection of a study by the Commission to map all the digital public and private connectivity infrastructures to understand what we have actually in Europe. This is the important starting point to understand from where do we start? Also, a second assessment that the European Commission will take on board as well is to understand and make an estimation of the incoming and outgoing data flows, volumes to from Europe to the different parts of the world, and then two other minor but not less important points is the need to look into this strategy also in terms of research, and this is something that everyone understands it's important, and that it's also in the base of the inauguration of the Link cable, which is part of the Bella program that will luckily also will be inaugurated during our presidency in June this year. And last but not least, and I think this is something that you are also very sensitive to, is the desire to upgrade submarine cable systems as critical infrastructures, which mean that will be also under the umbrella of the NIS directive, and goes without saying the importance of the submarine cables in the overall cybersecurity framework. One last word, and I'll shut up right away. To give you an example of the importance of the submarine cables in this framework of cybersecurity and safety as well. During the studies that we started to replace the CAM ring, so the ring between Portugal and the islands, we came up to the idea and working together with the different universities that it could be the opportunity to include sensorization in the new submarine cables that we have there. Not only because in terms of disaster prevention and early awareness that can be created, because every time there is a underwater earthquake and the possibility of having a tsunami, we can create this early awareness and reduce the impact of such a catastrophe in land, but also in terms of detection of underwater movement. The submarine cables, if they're enabled with sensors, they can also be used for that, and this is a very important point for the militaries, for instance, for the army, for the navy, to understand what's going on under the sea. Also, as a security reason, in order to prevent disruption of connectivity, we can then understand when it was when happened and exactly where did that happened, because in order to intervene and to make the replacement and to make it work again, it's important to understand where exactly that happened, because as you know better than me, when there is a cut in the submarine cable, and you guys have a lot of problems with that in the North Sea and in the Arctic region, it's important to understand and to act quickly in order to restore the communications which are vital to everyone. I'll stop here. Once again, thank you for the invitation.